There was chaos this week at a screening of Lifetime's upcoming documentary series, Surviving R. Kelly, when the theater was evacuated due to an anonymous gun threat. Luckily, it was just a threat. The documentary features multiple women who have accused the singer of sexual misconduct and abuse. Joining us now exclusively is one of those accusers, R. Kelly's ex-girlfriend, Kitti Jones. Welcome, Kitti.
Welcome, Kitti.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here and opening up to us. Now, we want to get to what happened the other night at the screening, but first, just to remind our viewers, you dated R. Kelly for a few years. You lived with him in his home in Chicago. Tell us about some of the abuse that you claimed that you experienced during those years.
It started off kind of verbal, just him kind of grooming me as we went along, just kind of implementing rules. It would be things as little as not standing up when he walked in the room, making eye contact with staff, not facing the wall, not wearing the right clothes that he wanted you to wear. And routine was to text him, or if we couldn't get in touch with him, or a runner. Well, the next chain of command was a runner to get your food or to ask permission for the bathroom. And then they would hunt him down to say, hey, Kitti needs to go to the restroom. And then that runner would relay the information back to me or let me know if it was okay to eat. So I knew I was in trouble on days that the runner wouldn't reply back to me. And then he would call maybe on the second or third day after me not having food and say, well, do you remember what happened, or do you remember what you did that, the other night? And then you would be confused. And then he would point something out, and then you would apologize for it because, of course, you're delirious because you haven't eaten. So
I think a lot of people may wonder in situations like this, you were his girlfriend, but were you ever forced into sexual acts that you did not want to do? Because I think that there's a misconception that even though you're in a relationship with someone, that you may have been asked to do things or even forced that you weren't necessarily willing to do.
Yeah, I would be awakened in the middle of the night for a threesome. I would be awakened in the middle of the night with, him naked standing over me, asking for oral. And yeah, you had to give sex on demand. Like, there was nothing I could do at that point. Say no and suffer.
Mm-hmm.
What was the tipping point, and how did you finally make that decision to get out of the relationship?
There was an incident where he was getting ready to, release some music, and there was a woman that he kind of looked up to as an aunt that we were taking back to Vegas. And he was playing some songs for her, and he did ask my opinion on it because of my radio background. He wanted to know how this would be received. And then I guess I started talking too much about my background, and he didn't want the woman to know about that. Mm-hmm. And he abused me and put me in check, as he would say, in front of her. And I was really embarrassed about that and humiliated. And
was that abuse physical?
Yeah. That was the beginning of me. He threw my phone out of the car. He threw my phone out of we were on the tour bus. So he took my communication away from that moment. And I had a friend, after 2 months of not having a phone, I snuck on a computer and reactivated my Facebook. And because he didn't allow us to have social media. And I reactivated my Facebook, and I reached out to one of my best friends at the time, and she was happy to hear from me. And she actually FedExed me another cell phone that was activated. And I began communicating with family again. And that's how I planned to leave. I started planning my escape and just wanted to just go into hiding, which I did for 3 years until I found out he was still doing this to other people. And that's what prompted me to come forward.
Kitti, after the screening was evacuated the other night, over at Variety, we spoke to R. Kelly's ex-wife, Drea, and she told us that she believes in some way that the gun threat was connected to him. Do you believe that R. Kelly was behind that threat?
I don't have proof of that, but it just felt
Yes, your heart.
like a reminder, like I'm sending a message. You know what I mean? It's certainly shaking us up, but it brought us together. Like I can't even describe the circle of, we were literally in a circle holding hands and saying, yes, we've told our individual stories. You may have lived there longer, you may have been there 3 weeks, but we all have one thing in common, and we have the same abuser, and we won't be backing down.
Thank you, Kitti, so much for being here with us, and thank you for sharing your stories.
Thank you, Kitti.
Thank
And
you.
we're praying for you, baby.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you. Now, of course, it is important to note that we have reached out to R. Kelly's team, and R. Kelly has repeatedly denied these allegations throughout the years.